Shalom, shalom. Great seeing everyone. Play a little bit of Psalms 23, okay, by WWIII to start off real quick. It's amazing, isn't it? All these things going on right now. Peace and blessings to everyone that's here in the chat. Peace and blessings to my nation, the Hebrew Israelites, the spiritualites. Peace and blessings to the Gentiles who are cleaving to the Most High at this time, cleaving to the Most High, and also cleaving to the Most High's chosen people. We're about a couple weeks away from our new year. I look for equal day, equal night, and from what I was looking, it was like, I think it's going to be like the night of March 19th, going into the 20th. Because I look for the equal day, equal night here in America. Okay, I don't look at equal day, equal night over in the Middle East. Okay, so I'm going to keep on doing a little more research, just kind of narrow everything down. But I'm going to be looking for like Saturday evening, going into Sunday, as being like the New Year that I'm going to observe. And then a couple of weeks after that, it's going to be Passover. As you can see, this is going to be one hell of a ride going forward. I was looking at Off Grid Desert Prepper right now. He's on some forum, some big group. I don't know if you guys heard about that. It was what is it? A Global Witness channel. And it's like a bunch of them. A bunch of those dudes that are all part of that whole thing. And I was listening to it. And I want to talk a little bit about what I was hearing from there. It's just it's amazing to see. The whole panel, nothing but so-called white people. They're all giving their views and everything, and they always want to say things are like, race doesn't matter, color doesn't matter, but it seems to always be so-called white people that are always the ones that are in the know, that are always the ones with the information, that are the ones that are always the ones that so-called have all this insider information and know what's going on and can lead you here and can lead you there. Not one person, the experts exactly, I says not one person of color in the whole group, and it's just funny because it's like, we've been the ones that have been trodden down for the last few thousand years. And do you not think that we should actually have some kind of representation? You don't think that actually our perspective is actually going to matter? You know what I mean? So that's why we're here. That's why we're having this discussion right here. Because see, all the things that they are ignoring, all of the information and all of these events that they are ignoring is exactly why the things that are happening right now. I find it very kind of comical, that one of them was talking about, well, judgment starts at the house of the believers. Where's that at? Judgment starts with the believers. See, when you guys keep on doing this whole replacement theology, this is why all of your, all of your prophecies don't work. I said, because we weren't believers. We were going through all of this judgment for the last couple thousand years. You see what I'm saying? So we weren't believers. We are the Most High's children. And we've been going through all of this destruction. It has nothing to do with believing or not believing. It has to do with a seed line. And you guys are just ignoring the seed line altogether. Exactly. Political Esau is getting really old, and I'm seeing, like, I'm sure a lot of you guys already know or heard, I guess today on, I don't want to Meet the Press, as a Blinken was pretty much talking about how they're green lighting, providing jets to the Ukraine. This is huge. This is a huge development because Russia's already said any nation that provides, military equipment, this aid to Ukraine is going to be considered, an enemy, and they're going to open up on them. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, there's going to be consequences to providing, jets to the Ukraine. Now, he's already pretty much said that that's pretty much going to start World War III, because if you do that and he responds and he, Putin fulfills what he says he's going to fulfill, then he's going to attack NATO. He's going to attack Poland or whichever country he decides to attack, and that's going to draw NATO in. Now, like I said, we're less than a couple weeks from the new year, and we know 2 years ago, What started the new year started when our new year started in March. It shut everything. Society shut down worldwide. You see, so this is all leading up to our new year. This is all leading up to our new year. Gas is still jumping up like crazy over here. I don't know, it jumped up 40 cents overnight in some of the gas stations that I frequent over here. So, I mean, gas is almost close to $6 a gallon already here. And they were talking about getting rid of Russian imports for gas. So, then, it's going to be jumping up more, you know, more and more. And they're going to use, Russia in this whole situation as a scapegoat. Not the fact that we're $30 trillion in debt. Not the fact that, we have no way of paying all this back. Not that everything is collapsing everywhere. We're just going to just turn our attentions to and blame one person or one group of people. But all of them are all in a cabal. They're all the same. I said, but it's really important to understand what's going on as far as from an entire, getting the whole perspective of the Israelites, not just these groups of people who just, decide that, they're going to come together and they're going to talk about certain things. And it's just funny because one of them, the lady, I don't know who the lady is, it's on that Global Witness group. If you guys watch, you guys can probably check it out. It was pretty funny because she was talking about pastors, how there's these pastors that have been totally, instrumental in our lives and instrumental in, in our growth over the course of our lives. And then when everything started in 2020 and their whole take on it really threw me off because of the way that they were, approaching, the whole event that happened, has been going on since 2020. We all know what that is. And then she goes, and then today, their whole perspective about this whole conflict with Russia and Ukraine. So she was like, I just, these pastors are like they've lost their way, or or they're lying and whatever else. And it's funny because it's like, you guys, these people have been lying the whole time. And what's comical at this point is the fact that all of them like have now barely realized that these people that they put their confidence in have been lying. Like they talk about now the politicians. Oh, it doesn't matter if they're Democrat or Republican. They both lie. They both have been lying. Well, we've been saying that this whole time. But you guys have been playing your parts. Oh, no, well, not the Democrats. Oh, no, well, not the Republicans. See, we've already known this because both groups have been against our people the entire time. You guys are like a lot of Johnny come latelys now at the end are now realizing that, yeah, they're a bunch of liars because now the lies are affecting you. When the lies didn't affect you, you didn't care. When you could play one group against the other, then you guys didn't care. But see, now that these situations are now affecting your bottom line and now affecting you, now all of a sudden it's, oh my God, these pastors are lying. They've been lying about absolutely everything. And even what's more comical is like you guys, these people seem to think that, okay, now that we found out that these people are liars, like we're going to continue to go forward and we're going to continue to, live, and we're going to continue to still be in these positions of authority, and we're still going to be in these positions, to pretty much be the ones who are going to have the right answers. I'm like, you haven't had the right answers now for thousands of years. You went along with all the lies all of this time. You're not going to get rewarded with being able to continue in those positions. That's what they see. They always think that they're always going to be on top. They're always going to be in authority. You see what I'm saying? But that's not the case anymore. You guys have all been Confederate. You're trying to tell me that you now realize, you barely realize that your pastors have been lying? I've seen this now from a couple of these channels where they finally admitted that these pastors are lying. These pastors are not telling the truth. And it's like, okay, well, that's cool. I'm glad you guys figured that out. But what do you think? Do you think you get a prize, and your prize is you get to continue to be in authority? You were duped by your pastors, but a lot of them were complicit. They didn't care if they were being lied to because the lie was convenient for them. The lie still perpetrated them as being on top. The lie still perpetuated them as being the ones with all the answers. All your churches have still pushed white supremacy. So if you're a so-called white person, even if they're lying and they're lying, you are still going to go along with it and be quiet about it because it still put you at the top. It still put you, in a place of authority, even though, one group was against another, but they were all putting so-called white people into positions of authority, no matter what, no matter if you're a Jehovah's Witness, no matter if you're a Mormon, no matter if you're a Catholic, no matter if you're, a Christian, a non-denominational Christian, whatever, it still kept white people, so-called white people, on top, and it kept so-called black people, black and brown people, at the bottom, second-class citizens, no matter what. And many people were still content with following those traditions of men as long as it kept that status quo. You see what I'm saying? But now the Most High is raising up his people, and they're bringing out more understanding, and this understanding cannot be refuted. They're admitting that there's some problems. Yes, there were some issues, there's been some problems, but we're going to get to the bottom of it, and we're going to fix it. No, you're not going to fix it. You don't have the authority, okay? You're not have the authority anymore to continue on in those positions. Those positions are going to be taken and given to the Most High's chosen people. The positions of authority are going to be taken from you and given to the Most High's chosen people. You've had your run, like I said, and your run is done. And it was just listening to their breakdown, and the whole thing about, judgment starts at the house of the believers. So you're just going to ignore the few thousand years that we've gone through oppression, and that didn't count. Now that you guys are being you're being inconvenienced a little bit. Now it's about oppression being at the house of the believers. You see what I'm saying? So it's like that just doesn't make absolutely any sense. And that's why we don't get put on panels like that, because we're going to talk about all of this history that you guys just seem to just skip over. All this history you guys want to just ignore. Okay. Now I want to show you some information here. Christopher Columbus, this book right here. Okay, when you've taken information. Like I said, these Spaniards came over here and they destroyed hundreds of millions of people. You don't think this has anything to do with prophecy? Then they take these kinds of books and then they take information, they change information and everything else. You don't think that the Most High is going to make you pay for these actions? You don't think that this has anything to do with judgment starting at the house of God, the house of the Most High? You don't think this all had anything to do with that kind of judgment? Judgment has already started at the house of the Lord. It started with the Most High's chosen people. These events were fulfillments of prophecy. These events have to be paid for. You're not in a position to just forget about those hundreds of millions of people that were destroyed. Stolen legacy. Someone just put that in there. That's the Most High. Someone has to pay for you guys, the so-called Greeks, coming and taking all this information and saying it was theirs. Taking all these books and saying this information was theirs, which then gave them the authority that the whole world followed these people. You see what I'm saying? Like, you guys used this information and you said it all came from the Greeks. So therefore, you elevated yourselves into these high positions so that people would listen to you. Okay? So that now you guys, when we're talking about the scriptures, we're talking about the Bible, we're talking about so-called Jesus, you guys would automatically think about white people, so-called white people, as being the authority. And you didn't tell people that you stole all this information from the Egyptians. You stole all this information from the Israelites. This has to be paid for. You see what I'm saying? You don't get to just, well, we're not going to talk about any of this. We're just going to ignore all this. Hey, great seeing you, Sister Lisa Cabrera. Great seeing you, Hebrew Widow. If I don't see you guys, trust me, the chat moves really fast, okay? So I love everybody that's here. Thank you guys so much for being here. But like I said, there's a lot of people. I said, then it goes really fast, okay? But much love to everyone that's here, okay? This all has to be paid for. This is a bill that needs to be paid for. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I said. When you guys keep these people keep on having want to have these chats and talk about, well, how are we going to move forward? How, this is all leading up to. They're still on the old. This is all leading up to the one world. The America. What Paul said, America has to be taken out so that the one world order can be established, and then the antichrist can come up, and then they can have the one world religion, they can have the one world currency, and go from there. And I'm like, one world, one world religion, is that not Catholicism? You guys keep talking about, just because there's all these different harlots, but all the harlots are all under the Catholic Church. So therefore, we've already had your one world religion. What religions can be worse? What religion could be worse than the Catholic Christian religion? Can you guys give me any kind of example of what could be worse than what the Catholics and the Christians of this world have already done? Why don't you guys give us some examples of some things that the Christians and the Catholics have already pretty much been responsible for? Have they not gone worldwide and destroyed everyone? Have they not gone and, pretty much dumb diversus, put everyone that wasn't part of the Christian religion, under, pretty much, what is it? You're in captivity until different. So they've done everything. They went worldwide, raped, robbed, murdered, stolen information, stolen, traditions, stolen heritage, given everything to themselves, taken all of our possessions, kept them for themselves. So like they keep talking about a one world religion that's going to be coming. And I mean, what's worse than what they've already done, than what the Catholic Church has done? I mean, they have to be responsible. You got to, for hundreds of millions, if not billions, of deaths. It subjugated everyone into slavery. So when they keep saying that there's going to be some one world government or one world religion that's coming, and you're just forgetting the fact of all the things that your guys' religions have already done. So the Universalists, the priesthood of Mahan, that was your one world religion that you're looking for in the future, that's already been here this whole time. You see what I'm saying? So but that's the whole thing. You guys have to deal with all of these issues that have already happened. You guys are just ignoring that. You guys are talking about a one world monetary system. What's the dollar system? What's this commerce that you guys have had that's been, like I know you talk about like the English language being based off like a commerce language, right? So that's you guys use slavery, you guys use our resources, and that was everything that was pretty much all of your guys' monetary system since you guys have been here was based off of. It was based off of, you guys found like a whole mountain of gold in South America. It was a mountain of gold or mountain of silver, and you guys used those that all those iron, all those minerals to make all your money, and you use that to actually was all your commerce. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, so you guys have already done that too. You guys keep talking about an antichrist, and remember now in the Bible it talks about how there's antichrists, not just one. We've been dealing with antichrists, plural, for a very long time. Cesare Borgia, I said, that's one hell of a drug. Is that not antichrist? Is he not the opposite of Yahushua? Has he not been used to pretty much subjugate the minds of the whole world? You see, they make it seem, these guys on these other channels, they try to make it seem like, like it's all controlled and it's all for the one world government in the future. And I'm going to agree with you. It's all controlled. It's all controlled by the Most High. And what you guys don't understand is you guys see now that our Father, the Most High, is working against you. He's working against your system. And now you guys seem to think that, oh, these are all these, this one world government, these certain people. No, it's the Most High who's now coming against you, just like he came against his people and took us down and destroyed us. He's doing exactly the same thing to you. And because you thought that your power was the power, you don't know how to handle this. Okay? Christopher Columbus again, this book right here. This was one of the only books that actually Christopher, I think it's the only book that was actually authored by Christopher Columbus himself. Okay? Where he's telling you that he's coming to over here to fulfill prophecy. He's coming over here to destroy the Most High's chosen people. He's going to be led over here to the Americas to fulfill prophecy, because all these prophecies about them taking down all 10 tribes or all 12 tribes had to be fulfilled. He knew that he was fulfilling prophecy. Your pastors, and all of a sudden now you've realized have been lying to you. They knew that they were fulfilling prophecy when they came over here. They knew that they were fulfilling prophecy when they came over here. You see, you guys are now barely realizing that your pastors have been lying to you. And they use the skies to get over here. Okay? They use the stars to get over here. Okay? And it was all about fulfilling prophecy. I'll read a little bit of this one real quick. I said this is all part of prophecy. It says, this is him. This is Columbus talking to the king and queen of Spain. He prospered me in seamanship and supplied me with the necessary tools of astrology, as well as geometry and arithmetic and ingenuity of intellect, and of manual skills to draw spherical maps which show cities, rivers, and mountains, islands and ports, everything in its proper place. At this time, I have seen and put in study to look into all the scriptures, cosmography, histories, chronicles, and philosophy, and other arts, which our Lord opened to my understanding. I could sense his hand upon me, so that it became clear to me that it was feasible to navigate from here to the Indies. And the Indies was right here in the Americas. Okay? And he unlocked within me the determination to execute the idea. The Spirit was sent on Columbus for him to do this. Okay? It says, who doubts that this illumination was from the Holy Spirit? Okay? Now it says, yet the outcome will be the fulfillment of what our Redeemer Jesus Christ said. And he said beforehand by the mouth of his holy prophets. And so there is every reason to believe that this prophecy concerning the voyage to the Indies will become manifest. And those Indies, like I said, he knew that he was going to be able to get over here and destroy the Most High's chosen people. It says, and being sure of what we hope for, if what has been said does not suffice, I offer as support the holy gospel, in which Jesus stated that everything would pass away, but not his wonderful word. And with this he said that it was utterly necessary for all that was written by him and by the prophets to be fulfilled. And now it's talking about Matthew 24, okay, 35. You read Matthew 24 and it's going to tell you about them coming over here and destroying the Most High's chosen people. That was a fulfillment of prophecy. In 1492. You guys are not going to be able to just continue to ignore all of this history and act as if that didn't matter. See, that's what you guys have done. Y'all act like all the things you guys have done in the past, all the rape, robbing, and murdering you've done doesn't matter. It does matter. You see, like Paul was talking about how, I guess, he's still pushing Ish. That's why they let him on that program, because he's still supporting Ish being the people over there. And but he said, oh, the leader of the Israelis went over to meet with Putin, and they talked for like 3 hours, and whatever they must have talked about must not have went too well, because as soon as he got back to Israel, he told all of his people to get your stuff and get out of Russia. And now they told Americans, told their citizens the same thing: get your stuff. If you're in Russia, get your stuff and get out of Russia. So they're like, so something's going on. Something big is coming. Something's going on. And they're not telling the people. And we understand that. And it's all lining up. 2022. Pluto came back. And they've been trying to get us to, use our prayers for them ever since then. Ever since 2/22/22, when Russia went in, what has been the big thing lately? Pray for Ukraine. Pray for peace. That's how they steal your prayers. That's how they steal your intention. That's how they steal, your prayers and you using the power of Pluto for you to use it for them. Because as soon as this all jumped off, it's all about all of us coming together, all of us praying for peace, and all of us praying, that the peace comes all over the world. And it's like, yeah, no, yeah, Brittany Griner got taken up or got picked up. She got her prayers. They still, because that's what they're doing. They understand what's going on. They're trying to steal your energy, and that's what they've been trying to do. I said they're not getting our energy anymore. The Most High is not going to do that. Not to the elect, not to the ones that He's awakened. And then you said, and just watch. They're constantly trying to get us to, pray for them, And it's like, nah, not anymore. I said, so we're just gonna go over a few things. I said, because like I said, this information is huge because you're not gonna get away with just ignoring the Most High's people. You're not going to continue to ignore the things that, have happened to us and then think that no one's gonna have to pay for this. That's what you guys are used to doing. Okay, well, I made this mess. Let me just ignore that mess and go make another one. Okay, I made a huge mess here. I'm just gonna ignore that mess and go make another one. Okay, I made another mess. Okay, I'm just gonna leave that here. I'm just gonna make another one. You guys never clean your mess. You never go deal with the mess. All you guys do is make messes and then just leave it for somebody else to clean it up. And that's not gonna happen. You're gonna clean up that mess. You're gonna clean up all these messes that you've left all over the place. You guys are so used to us cleaning up your messes for you, but that's not gonna happen anymore. I said, you're gonna be responsible to clean all this up. That's why you guys are getting double. That's why you're getting a whole 1,000 years to clean up all these messes that you've made. And you've made a lot of them. Everyone talks about Russia and they talk about Russia. And that's the thing. You guys have always made it seem as if the borders that are here now have always been the borders that have always been here. The people that are in these lands now are the people that have always been there. Now we know that that's not true. We already know that the original Russians, the people that were in those lands before, did not look like the people that are there now. So if these people aren't there anymore, something must have happened to them too, correct? Something must have happened to the people that were there because they're not there anymore. They're not represented anymore. So therefore, there's more lands, more history that has been hidden and lied about. These pictures, and this information was information that was there way before the Renaissance period. How did this all change? Where was all the original people that were here before in the lands of Russia? They were talking about in Paul's video. He was talking about how Russia has the most natural resources, like $75 trillion worth of resources. Oil, minerals, gas, natural gas, all that stuff. And then Ukraine has wheat. They all grow wheat. Russia grows wheat and gold. Where'd they get all? So who would have those lands? Who would have Most High given those lands to, with all those resources? Would that not have been? He would have given those to his people. Would he not have given that to his people? You see what I'm saying? So like I said, you guys, the whole thing was trying to put the people that are there now as if they're the only ones that have been there the whole time. I said that's a bunch of that's a bunch of BS. We go right here, the Mother of God right here. Because everybody already knows that the Pope prays to a black Madonna. Said we're the ones that haven't known the truth until now. He would have given that land to his covenanted people. He would have given all that great lands, all those resources to his people. But you guys got your blessings, so everyone got their little part. So, they're talking about all these, racist groups that are over there. Yeah. I said, racist groups are over there. I said, because you guys took over, you got your blessing, so you had your opportunity, to take our lands. And this is what you all did. This is how you guys whited everything out. This is why you guys think that you guys have always been over there. These are all newer pictures. This all has to be paid for. The whiting out, the whiting out of the truth. Because there's your antichrist right there. Anti, against. They changed everything. They took our lands, changed all the pictures, changed everything out. There's your antichrist right there. Y'all waiting for an antichrist to come, but you worship him every day. You worship the antichrist all the time. That's why these books are so difficult to get, because you guys don't want people to see the truth. Where are these ones from? The Holy Apostles, 16th century, 1500s. So, you know, since Russia is so in the news, you take a look at those Russian icons. And what was there before? Before you had the opportunity to change everything. There's what Yahushua looked like before. How he was depicted before. All of this, like I said, has to be paid for. Does it not? At the bottom right there too. So these are what the people look like way before what you're seeing there now. But does someone have to pay for all of these changes? Does someone have to pay for all of this information? So, you know, like I said, so you're starting to see there's going to be a lot of events that are going to lead up to the next 2 weeks in our new year. There's going to be a whole lot of information. You know, there's going to be a whole lot of events that's going to be going on over the next 2 weeks. And then after that, there's going to be a whole lot of events that are going to lead up to the next 2 weeks after that, up into Passover. That's a given. Those are the times that we're in. You know, I said, we all understand that things are not going back to normal. Many of these people are starting to realize that too. But they still think that they're going to be the ones that are going to be making the decisions going forward. And that's not the case. You know, they said this is a transition period. And Most High is transitioning to putting his people back on top and bringing the other nations down to the bottom. I expect a lot of things to be going on within the next couple of weeks. How about you guys? What do you guys think? Control C, Control V, showing them how to copy and paste. Big changes are definitely coming. And so that's why it's important for us to understand, the events that are going on and why they're coming. See, they don't ever talk about why they're coming. These guys just want to keep talking about their pastors and what their pastors have done and how their pastors have been lying, how, the government has been lying, and it's like, okay, well, now in 2022, now you guys have barely come to the conclusion that your government's been lying to you. I said, what about when we've been telling you that all these things have been unfair and you've been ignoring us. We've been telling you guys that the government has been lying. The government has been doing this. The government has been doing that, and you guys didn't care. We told you that churches have been lying. They've been misrepresenting the people, misrepresenting the truth, and you guys haven't cared. But like I said, now that you realize that you've lost your rights, you're losing your blessing, now it's time for us all to come together. And you all don't even really believe that either. I said, because what you guys believe in is you guys believe in a rapture that is only going to be, pretty much going to take people who believe in white Jesus. That's what you guys believe in. We know that they had those, what was it? Those projections that there's going to be a way less people here in the Americas or worldwide within the next couple of years. Was it 2025, something like that? So yeah, so now I said they knew what was coming. That's why they made those projections. They knew there was going to be a whole lot of death. I got other books right here, like this one right here, Dogs of the Conquest. You don't get to just ignore. Judgment starts at the house of the believers. Now y'all want to act like you guys are the ones that are being, all of a sudden now this is nothing. You guys act like it's been like a week, and you guys are acting as if you guys have just gone through so much. Now you want to go against, oh, the churches are lying, all the government's been lying. I'm like, yeah, and we've been telling you that the whole time. They've been doing all these things to us, but you guys haven't cared. I'm going to read a little something out here. I've read it before, but it's talking about them getting ready to come over here to the Americas, and how their pastor or their archdeacon was the one that knew that they were coming over here to fulfill that prophecy to enslave these people. It says, in the Indies, Columbus had found a kind of Eden, whose natives seemed to have been willing to Spanish domination. Thus, he, in all probability, did not contemplate bringing dogs with him, even on his second voyage. The supplies and equipment of the fleet, however, were left by the sovereigns to the discretion of their personal chaplain, the shrewd Archdeacon of Seville, Juan Rodriguez de Fonseca. Remember, this is a man of God, right? And he's the one that's getting everything ready for them to come over here and slaughter these people. And this isn't the church of the devil. This is somehow the church of God that's actually coming to spread love. When he's setting up an expedition to come over here and just pretty much eradicate the people that are here. Okay, it says the prelate's perception of the true purpose of the venture of his and his knowledge of the Spanish character made him keenly aware that the Renaissance Crusaders would find dogs indispensable in a pagan world. Pagan, that means that they could, them to versus, they could do whatever they wanted to us because we were so-called pagans. So therefore they could do whatever they wanted. They were free to do whatever they wanted because they had labeled us as pagans, and we didn't have any rights. And they knew the true character. The true character was they were coming over here to fulfill prophecy. They were coming over here to destroy the 10 tribes. The monarch specified a kind of loving treatment. Did you say $1,500 for this book? $1,500 for this book. The monarch specified a kind of loving treatment of the Indians on Columbus's second voyage, and their speedy conversion to Christianity. At the same time, however, they stressed the settlement of the land, the organization of trade centers, and a careful garnering of material resources. Fonseca was aware that to carry out the second capitulation successfully, some compromise had to be made between desire for material gain and evangelical piety. Such profits as the crown expected, he knew, would have to be obtained eventually by means of enforced labor and human bondage. He surmised that though the Indians might be a Pacific, as Columbus had described them, they would not adjust to manual labor with coercion. In consequence, he made certain that when Columbus's splendid fleet sailed in September 1493, it was adequately equipped with men, arms, and a pack of 20 purebred mastiffs and greyhounds. These dogs and others that followed were to lay a bloody trail across the islands and mainland of the newfound world. This doesn't have to be paid for. Y'all just think you can just, poof, it's all gone. I don't have to worry about this anymore. And then here we go. We got some more information here. So we're going to go a little bit more right here, where it says, because the Indians kind of started to have an uprising. Says several of his, who is this talking about? Columbus also found several other significant changes. First, his brother Bartolome had arrived from Spain with supplies. Second, several of his followers had revolted and fled to Spain to complain against Columbus and his brothers. And also Alonso de Ojeda, whom Columbus had sent to establish a series of forts on the Vega Real of Hispaniola, had provoked and was continuing to provoke the Indians along the route of this expedition by instances of rape and enslavement. So these guys are just going around raping the women and enslaving the natives, and the natives weren't having it. Okay? So, fearful for his whole enterprise, Columbus decided to lead an expedition into the interior himself. As he proceeded, he sought to obtain information by peaceful methods. So, yeah, I'm going to try to do this peacefully, but if that doesn't work out, we got other means. So he goes, so peaceful methods. But when these efforts failed, he unleashed his dogs and subjected the natives to cruel pursuit. In the ensuing flights, many Indians were slain or captured for the slave marts of Seville. Okay? So he was just going, raping, robbing, murdering, using his dogs to destroy the people, and then selling them as slaves in the slave marts of Seville. You know, I said these were. You know, this really gets into like how they were using these dogs to destroy our people, big time. Like 20 dogs would just be massacring like hundreds of the natives, because they were talking about how like these dogs, it seemed like they were like possessed, and like they were probably given power to take our people down, you know. And then they would. I'm sure you guys have heard about them killing, like, you know, like their dogs were hungry, and they would see a native with like an aboriginal with like a baby, and they would just rip the baby away from the mother and cut off a leg and feed it to one dog, cut another leg off, you know, cut the arms off, and then like chuck the rest of the baby to, you know, to the other dogs, and they would just rip it apart. These are the kind of things that they were doing. You know, I said they were doing these kinds of things. They trained them to kill our people, and these things don't have to be paid for. Y'all just think you just get to just move along. Nothing to see here. Here it says, but the dogs of the conquerors and early settlers were, in the main, war dogs, and as such were trained purposely to relish Indian flesh. Thus, in combat or after a struggle was over, they gorged on the bodies of the victims. Not only was this destruction permitted, it was encouraged, both as an effective maneuver in the cruel process of subjugation and as an economy of war. Also, it was an easy means of providing them food. Sometimes non-combatant Indians, even children, were handed over simply as tasty morsels to voracious hounds. So they would just rip the bits. Hey, you know what? My dog's a little hungry. Here's a baby. Eat this. These are the kind of things that they were doing. That's why these books are so expensive, because they don't want you to see what they were doing. I mean, this book is full of all that. Here's the one where I think where they fed the child to the dogs. Here, hold on real fast. And these priests knew about it. These priests, you know, knew about all these things that were happening, and they didn't do anything. So, but these are so-called men of God, right? It says the dogs left behind by Columbus had by now greatly increased in number and ferocity. But Bobadilla apparently continued to train dogs to attack like wild beasts, to disembowel and devour. Both he and his successor, Nicolas de Ovando, made cruel and wanton use of dogs. A letter of protest dated June 4th, 1516, from 14 Dominican priests of Hispaniola to a royal council related, for example. So they wrote a letter, just like we get, right? They just wrote a little letter, okay? This isn't good. I'm going to write a letter. Okay, that'll fix it. So this is what an example of what they were doing. How on one occasion, some Christians came across an Indian woman with a nursing child in her arms. Since their dog was hungry, they seized the child and tossed it to the dog, which tore it to pieces in the presence of the mother. The priest described how the Christians used natives as beasts of burden, loading them with heavy packs and forcing them to march 60 or 70 leagues without food. So they're forcing the natives to carry their stuff, forcing them to to march 60 or 70 leagues without food. The Christians brought along large mastiffs to discourage escape. So if people wanted to run away, that's why they had the dogs. That's what they had the dogs for. So they send the dogs on them to devour them, to kill them. So that the dogs might not bruise their feet, okay, from too much walking. They were born in hammocks between the shoulders of Indians. So these natives had to carry their dogs because they didn't want their dogs' feet to get tired. They didn't want them to hurt the dogs' feet. So they forced the natives to carry these dogs. And if they wanted to try to escape, then they would unleash these dogs on them. So if an Indian fled, a dog would catch him and tear out his entrails before the Christians overtook him. For these and similar reasons, dogs were held in greater esteem and valued more highly than Indians. These are your Christians. These are your Christians, and you're not going to be able to get away with well, they're not real Christians. They're not true Christians. Yeah, they are. You know why we know that they're true Christians? Because you are defending them. You just ignoring the stuff that they've done means you're complicit. These are your Christians. That's what they're calling them right here, Christians. And these are the kind. I'm barely on page 16, and I've skipped stuff. Just looking at real facts. Like, our people were terrified. They were terrified of these dogs. But like I said, these things, these events, just because you want to ignore them, doesn't mean the Most High has been keeping track. Remember what we talked about in Enoch. The Most High said, you can kill these ones. The ones that I approve, you can kill these ones. But if you start killing more of them, those deaths are going to be on your own head. That's what these books tell you about. It's called Dogs of the Conquest. Dogs of the Conquest. Here, I'll try to give you the front here. Dogs of the Conquest. But see, they hide this information, okay? And then they don't want you to hear about this kind of information because they want to still hold themselves up as, see, after they've taken everything, after they've gotten everything, then all of a sudden they want to play holier than thou. They want to play, piety and how, we wouldn't do anything like that. And they want these priests to be able to come out here and tell you all these things. These priests were there when all this stuff happened. Bartolome de las Casas, and they wrote books about him. He was there. He saw all this stuff. Didn't change anything. You just had a front row seat to the slaughter. That's it. I was at my in-laws' house, and there was a priest there visiting, and everyone in the house was like, oh my gosh, we're so blessed to have him here in the house. And I started having a discussion with him because I'm like, this is nice. It's an opportunity for us to have a little discussion. So I started talking to him about, when the Spanish got here, and talked to him about Bartolome de las Casas, and I was reading this book and this information. Man, this dude quickly was like, yeah, you know what? I have to go. I have an appointment. I have to, he got real uncomfortable real quick. Got real uncomfortable real quick because they're used to everyone just, Father, and everyone gets, just bowing down. I said, but you start talking to them about information and things like that, and all of a sudden they got places to go, people to see. $1,500 now, is that what you said? $1,600 now, yeah? Because they don't want you to see the dirt. They don't want you to see this dirt. This is the dirt that you guys got to pay for, that they don't want you to be bringing up. And it's not going to be like, oh, well, mistakes were made. Yeah, you're right. Mistakes were made. Okay, so they're using more dogs here. The people were like just terrified of these dogs because they were pretty much using the dogs to to keep everyone in line. It's like if you did anything wrong, fed you to the dogs. Now, I said there was a Negro revolt back then down in Panama, and they would make these guys fight the dogs, and they would give like a stick to fight against these dogs, and people just like the gladiators, and people would just be watching them just getting just torn to pieces by these dogs. So they were just ridiculously, they were just used in such a horrible, heinous way. Let's see here. It says the Spaniards pursued the natives with their swords, but worst of all, they released their ferocious wolfhound. The dog wrought great havoc among the savages and instilled in the Quibian a lively respect for Spanish dogs. In Hispaniola, the new governor, Nicolas de Ovando, soon had his own conflict with Indians. In 1502, at the beginning of his authority, he was confronted with the problem of pacifying and subduing the natives of Higüey, whose Cacique Catubanama had been incensed by the dogging incident of Sauna. So they must have used the dogs to destroy Sauna. When these Indians attacked a small exploratory force of Spaniards, Ovando declared a war of reprisal and sent out a stronger force under Captain Juan de Esquivel to administer justice. Now, see, if they try to, protect themselves, or whatever else, or get revenge for whatever, it's like, oh, you guys aren't allowed to do that. So he sent out a huge force to go out here and destroy. It says from then on, one chronicler has remarked, the struggle degenerated into a mere chase in which dogs were released to hunt down and devour the rebels. Many Indians who escaped the hounds were slain by the sword, and when they were taken alive, often both hands were severed and sent to Catubanama as a warning. These are your Christians again, cutting off people's hands, sending them as a warning, doing stuff like that, right? Okay. But that doesn't have to be paid for. We're just going to ignore that. Okay. In despair, the Indians sued for peace, and Catubanama came to the Spanish camp to sign an agreement, one provision of which was that his vassals would continue to supply the Spaniards with cassava, so long as they came in person to fetch it. It was later learned that the Indians were reluctant to bring the cassava to the Spaniards because of their great terror of the dogs that guarded the Spanish camps and towns. With the successful close of the conflict in Higüey, Ovando anticipated progress. Sugarcane was flourishing and there was evidence of ample supplies of gold. But the harvesting of such resources required labor. Yet neither promises of future rewards in heaven nor mundane gifts or trinkets could induce the Indians to linger in the proximity of the Christians and their ever-present mastiffs. So he promised them, hey, if you do this, you're going to go to heaven. Let's see. So, thus, by 1503, Ovando, with the permission of the crown, established a firm repartimiento system, the enforcement of which, as liberally interpreted in Hispaniola, gave much opportunity for further use of dogs. The laborers in the mines, for instance, were treated abominably and often starved. As food became scarcer, they gathered with the dogs beneath their masters' tables, and like the dogs, caught each bone thrown to them, gnawed it, and sucked it clean. If in despair they fled to the mountains, they were hunted down with dogs, scourged and chained. So they were like told to pretty much sit underneath the table and eat the scraps from the table. That's what the natives had to do because there wasn't any food. And if they tried to run, they would use the dogs to go and catch them. Just like when you watch those movies, like the Django, when the slave didn't want to fight anymore, and they just released the dogs, and the dog just tore them to pieces. Like I said, this is barely page 17, 18, and this book is hundreds of pages. 225 pages, 230 pages. But this stuff doesn't have to be paid for. You all think you're just going to ignore all of this, and then but going forward, we're gonna, Jesus is gonna just rapture us up, and we're just gonna we're out of here. Yeah, the dogs of God. I'm sure that's not the same book. It's called Dogs of the Conquest. But like I said, these things like this have to be paid for. Like I said, this is barely anything. So like I said, you guys are not in any position to be acting as if somehow you guys are just going to skimp out on all these events, and you're just going to be able to just, well, this new system's coming in, and we're going to be on top of that one too. I said that's not how this is going to work. You guys are not going to be at the top of anything anymore. You had your opportunity. You guys are all so quiet about all the things that have happened to our people, and ignoring all this. So like I said, when you guys have your little groups and you guys all come together and you're all talking about, well, this person's evil and this person's evil and Russia's evil, America's evil, or Greek is, it's like, dude, you guys are all Psalms 83. You've been Confederate. You've been ignoring all the things that have been happening worldwide to the Most High's chosen people. And now the Most High is bringing judgment. And now you got to consider who he's bringing judgment to. This is why it's going to be so important that everyone, really gets hey, you get your intentions together. You're praying to the Most High. We're all working together. We're praying together. The Most High's will be done. I said we're praying that the Most High's will is going to be accomplished. That's it. We haven't done anything. I said we were going through our punishment, and they took it way too far. And that's why these books are so expensive and so hard to get. I said because they tell on them. The Most High made these people write these books. Most High made them get this information so that at the end, he can bring it back to his people. Because you're not going to get it from the Gentiles. The Gentiles are not going to admit this information. They're not going to admit these things. All they do is they have these big groups and they all come together and hey, it sounds great, sounds nice. All this, you got all this insider information and this and that, but all of you are doing nothing but ignoring your history. You're ignoring all of your history. You're ignoring all these things that have happened to the Most High's chosen people, and it's not going to continue. The past is going to be required. That's why everything you guys are doing now is falling flat on its face. That's why all these things that you guys have planned, is not going to work. People are like, well, hopefully things are going to get better. Why exactly would you guys think things are going to get better? What has been done? What has gone on that you seem to think that you guys deserve mercy for? Yeah, it is a hot mess. Ukraine is a hot mess. It's a hot mess for a reason, though. It's a hot mess for a reason because that's the way the Most High wants it. I heard Paul from Off Grid was talking about how I guess today was like one of the worst days for Russia, and like they lost like nine planes or helicopters or whatever else today. So a lot of their planes and helicopters got shot down today. So I said there's a whole lot of things that are going on. Like I said, and this information that we have, like I said, I'm sure it's just scraping the iceberg. You're just getting the top of the iceberg of information of things that have happened to our people. Yeah, mainstream is silent on a lot of these things. And that definitely got no escape. I said this is all the Most High. This is all Him. I said these are the times that we're in. I said it's time. It's time for payback. It's time for recompense. Think of all of our brothers and sisters who are under that altar right now, who are asking for the Most High to recompense them, to recompense the things that were done to them, and how the rest of the people here in this world just want to ignore all these things. No, the Most High is not going to have pity because He's giving you guys the opportunity to see this truth, hear this truth. And then what are you going to do with it? I said, I just brought a couple books. We got more, and we'll keep bringing out more information. I said, because as we keep seeing these other nations just constantly just ignore the things that have happened to us, the Most High will give us an opportunity to bring out more information and more understanding, so that people can understand like why, these pastors have been lying, still lying to today. I said they're still lying about absolutely everything, and this is why nothing's getting better for them. This is why we need to make sure, hey, we're ready for the new year, looking for, big events that are going to be coming, being bold with it, telling people, hey, expect big events for these next couple of weeks, expect big things to be happening, speaking these things into existence, knowing that our Father is now fighting for us. I have, I said, no reservations at all. I know exactly I know the Most High is going to bring up huge events in these next couple of weeks leading up to our new year, because he's done it before. And he's going to continue. He's made all these, he's made all of these signs in the sky and bringing all this information out, bringing all this understanding out. I expect huge events to be going on by the new year. I expect huge events to be going on 2 weeks after that for our Passover. I expect all of us to be, hey, Gracie, Brother D'Angelo. I said I expect all of us to be praying for the Most High and that His will be done. So like I said, so yeah, I expect them to be giving planes to Ukraine. I said, because those are the times that we're in. Says we're in, people be like, that sounds crazy. Yeah, it does sound crazy, don't it? But that's exactly what the times we're in. We're in crazy times. We're gonna have a full moon soon, so we already know things are gonna be jumping off. Things are already jumping off. It's only been like a week. It's been like a little bit over a week, and look at all the stuff that's going on. So like I said, we understand, like when we watch them say certain things, it's like always, hey, what about history? What about this? Does no one have to pay for the last couple, last 1,000+ years? No one has to pay for that. And if you say no one has to pay for that, then that shows you then that your power is not just. Because when you started looking at all the things that have happened, it said those people are under the altar, waiting, for judgment on the people that killed them. So you guys keep talking about these believers. I was like, this has nothing to do with just believers. This has to do with the bloodline of the Most High's chosen people. They've been destroyed, they've been killed, and they're waiting for recompense. They want revenge. And the Most High didn't say he wasn't going to give it to them. He just told them to wait for the number. He told us to wait for that number. And then the Most High is about to unleash utter hell, destruction. Checking out all these great comments. Thank you, guys. Thank you, family, for showing up. We have over 1,600 people here. It says it's absolutely beautiful. Exactly, asking how long, Father? Exactly. I said this is like I said, just absolutely amazing. He said you got a lot of people that are coming into this truth, coming into this understanding. Are they going to accept it? I said that's up to them and the Most High. All we can do is we bring the understanding, we bring the information, and what you do with it is between you and the Father. But the Most High, he said he was, and you look at Joel 2, he's the one that said he was going to take this army off these lands. That he was going to replenish our lands, replenish the time, replenish us, or replenish our bodies. That's what the Most High made those promises for us. That's all talking about Joel 2. So you see, when you go to Joel 2 and then Joel 3 is like, hey, he's calling them to fight. He's calling them for battle. Because you got to pay for selling his people to the Grecians, selling, the girls for wine. So as you can see, it's like, you get rid of the army off of our lands, and as they get taken off the lands, then there's a big battle coming. All praises, Brother D'Angelo. You know what I'm saying? So that's what he's doing. He's removing all these people off of our lands, getting them ready to battle. He's gonna be calling them to fight, and we're gonna see how they gonna like to deal with our Father at that point. So like I said, I expect big things from the Father. Be looking for it. I said, because those are the times that we're in. But all praise to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who was wisdom? Who was the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom, family.